We truly are our own solution. It's up to us every day to do the work. And so you show up every day, you're consistent, you do the work, you have the conversations, you do the right thing when nobody else is looking.
I always get really excited when I get to talk to people from my side of the world. And today it's like a double win because I have an agent on the show who did over 80 listings that she closed last year. In addition to that, she's Italian. I'm Maltese. We know this is going to be a good episode. So everybody, I'd like to welcome Maria Quattrone to the show today.
Thank you, Matt. I'm excited to be here and to share.
Well, Maria, I pulled your numbers. So I get requests for people to be on the podcast all the time, and it's usually someone who did big numbers 20 years ago. You and your team are doing big numbers right now in the Philadelphia area. And so what I was most excited about is that you're a normal agent. Like you're doing more business than 90% of agents, but your business looks pretty normal. Like what's your average price point? Why don't you tell our audience like what you're working with in your area?
So, average price point is probably in the mid threes.
Mid threes. And you did over 100 transactions in the mid threes. I mean, half the people that we have on the show do like two transactions in the 5 million range, and then they have nothing to talk about because they only did two deals all year. You did 100 transactions just yourself, and then your team did some good work too. But why don't you just walk us through where you got started? How did you get started in real estate? And kind of walk us through how you got to where you are now, because that's a lot of transactions for one person and a small team to do.
Got started in the industry 22 years ago. I used to be in radio advertising sales, and I did that for 11 years. So I had a lot of sales experience prior to entering into the real estate industry. And when I got in, I was like, wow, this is like a lot easier than what I was doing. Calling 100 people to get set 10 appointments to close two sales. So in real estate, the conversions are much, much higher. And it really is a people business. It's a relationship business. It's a contact business. It's a conversation business. The more conversations that you have and the more people you can help and the more people that they can refer to you, I'm doing a great job. And, I started as a sole agent within a few months of um, actually, my first year, I was a dual career. I still continued to sell radio advertising, and then I was also selling real estate. And then I resigned from that career. And once I resigned, within 2 months, I had an assistant because too much paperwork for me. I'm sales and marketing, so administrative stuff is not my thing. So I rolled right out into that, and then within 2 years, I figured out like, how do I get the listings? I need the listings, 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 listings. So I started calling expired listings, and I became the expired queen of listings in Philadelphia. And from there, at that time I had a team and ran that for a while. And then I opened up my own Remax office in 2000 and actually January 2nd, 2014. So it's 12 years. And we have a team office. This year I probably took well over 150 listings. Um, Next year, probably on track to take about 200 at this point. And so everything is built around listings, leverage, helping sellers be the solution. And I have that the Be the Solution podcast, and it's all about how are we the solution? We truly are our own solution. It's up to us every day to do the work. And so you show up every day, you're consistent, you do the work, you have the conversations, you do the right thing when nobody else is looking, and you be the best that you can.
But you've said so many interesting things. Like I almost want to go back to a couple, but I hear you say be the solution. And it's so interesting because I think so many realtors forget, and all salespeople, that you have to like find the problem, be the solution, but sometimes you have a solution to a problem someone didn't even know that they had. And I think when realtors kind of refocus and start thinking, okay, I have this solution that worked for one client. Now, how do I find 10 more clients that likely have that same problem so I can pitch them and make sure that I'm at least on their radar? And when you start doing that, you start creating opportunities versus just hoping that the phone is going to ring.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I like to share is that this is a long game, this business, and everything that you do from day one. There was a day when I never sold a property. I never, I never sold a house,
Yeah, it
and
was
then
a
I
day
did.
22 years ago.
Yep. But all those things over the 22 years compounded. So when I have new people that come into our organization, I say, okay, read the book, The Compound Effect, because think about this. You start here, you draw a line on a piece of paper, and then draw another line, another line, another line. Keep drawing lines. Okay, it's 30 days. So look how far you come in 30 days. Keep drawing the lines for a whole year. Look how far you come from where you started at zero to all the way here. And that is the real estate career over 2 decades. So it's compounded every single day over the things that you did the day before. So it's like, it's not any major big thing that just makes a change in life. It's the tiny hinges that swing big doors. So where can I make these little changes, little details to make sure that everything is stickier? So it goes from like how we answer the phone. It's a great day at Maria Quattrone and Associates, to how we do that seller intake, asking them a series of questions. And then how we set that appointment, sales and marketing consult is set for immediately. I do a lot of this all on the phone, believe it or not. And then before that even happens, a pre-list file is pulled for me. A marketing email with an email from me that I personally wrote, and our marketing presentation, our listing presentation, all comes in that email before they even meet. So it's tiny little things along the way, little to make it sticky. So you had asked me a question about earlier. How do you have people that just you have business that comes in all the time because I'm making everything sticky? Everything's sticky. So that consult that I do, they might not be ready today. They may not sell until 2026 or 2027. And then I put them in a follow-up system where I'm following up, I'm calling them, I'm giving them value, I'm reaching out to them. They're getting emails from me mainly about inspiration, aspiration on a weekly basis on Mondays.
That's
And
awesome.
and
So
so it's
you've
all tied together.
it's
The
all tied
video.
together, and you're the way that you're doing it is they can never forget about you. Like you're giving them the vibe and the positive attitude when they first call, but then you're following that through kind of like a little red thread throughout their entire life until they eventually buy with you, and then you're following up in just a different way, I assume.
Absolutely. And so it comes to all the little things that you do, what you post on social media, videos that you do. I have 2,000 videos on YouTube. So did the person come from YouTube? Did they come from Google? Did they come because they saw a sign on the street? Well, you have 100 signs on the street. Right now, there's probably about 100, close to 100 signs on the street. It makes an impact over time. Over time, people say, I'll meet people at a cocktail party, or it's holidays now. So see people in holidays. They all say, I see your signs everywhere. They're in like good neighborhoods, bad neighborhoods. I'm like, we don't discriminate. We just want to work with the motivated sellers who want to sell, and people that aren't just like kicking tires. So we go where the business is, and I think that's something. I know a lot of people say, well, they only work in luxury, or they only work with condos, or they only work with this, and that's fine. We just happen to be working with people that are the most motivated people, a lot being expired listings, sending letters to them. We send letters every single day. We do it by hand right out of my office, and they go out day in, day out, Monday to Friday,
Well,
every day.
the expired listing thing is a really great thing to talk about right now because I think we're all seeing these headlines of homes are sitting on the market for longer and there's more inventory, blah blah blah. Now, obviously, it seems like we're finally at a healthy level of inventory, at least in my area, where there's a little bit of breathing room for both buyers and sellers. But that market does create opportunities for people with experience marketing to expired listings. So could you just go a little bit deeper and walk us through your expired listing strategy? Like, number one, where do you get the data? Number two, what are you doing day one? Who's doing it? What does it say? Just tell us everything, because I think a lot of
Absolutely.
agents want to start doing this right now.
So you can get systems like LandVoice or RedX or two. We happen to use LandVoice right now. We've been using them for the last few years. But in order to pull, and that's for calling, but for sending the letters, we pull the information directly from the MLS and do a search in public records, and we actually pull real data, and then we upload that, and we have letters that go out. And I have 3 letters. Um, One goes out day one, and then a month later another letter goes out, and then 3 months later another letter goes out. And those letters are very specific about what we do, and it's just asking people to. We just want people to raise their hand. I don't know if I can help them or not, but I won't know unless they call me. So they call us, and then when I speak with the people on the phone, they clearly understand that I know exactly what to do to get this property sold by the questions I ask and the way that I speak with them. And if they're not ready today, that's okay, because I'm not forcing anybody to sell anything right now. I will put them in my follow up, and when it makes sense, because it doesn't always make sense for them to sell right now. For example, let's just say you have a property and it has tenant occupied, and you're making like 2,000 a month, but you want 370 for it, and the tenant's not leaving till September. I am not in your best interest unless you really, really need to sell. Really, really, really need to sell. It's not your best interest with a tenant in there to sell for a number that's going to make it sell, because it's going to be a lot lower than what you're looking to get. So in that case, it might not be a good time for them. It really depends. Every seller is different. Every situation is different. How I handle it is different for each person. It's customized. However, I have specific things that I do to get these properties sold. And in today's environment, I put a whole new system together for how we're going to make sure that it's sticky. It's sticky when we take that listing, that it actually does sell. Because this year, the cancellations in market wide, I mean, nationally, have been 30%.
Right.
And we've also had listings that have canceled, probably 30%, a lot more than I've ever seen. Um, Between craziness of the person, pricing, the deals falling apart for lots of reasons. So I say, okay, how can we fix this? How can we be the solution? So I come up with a new program. And a
So let's talk
lot,
about that. So it sounds so for anyone that hasn't seen all the news, right? The number I keep seeing nationally is, yes, it's about 30% of homes, the listings are just getting canceled, meaning that the sellers are taking them off the market. And it's mainly because they just don't need to sell that badly, which to me makes me think that the agent didn't kind of like hype up the motivation enough, or have a deep enough conversation and really figure out what their needs were. So when you notice these, like, how are you actually coming up with that strategy to sell them or figure out what needs to happen?
well, I think it's a couple things, Matt. First of all, going back to the cancellations, I think that when you look on paper and you look at the comps, the numbers can suggest that this could be the price. However, when people get there, and even though on paper it looks like that could be the price, they're not compelled to make the offer at that, because buyers, and because prices are so high, higher than ever, ever, buyers want more value. And so it's not jiving, even if that property would appraise for that number it's listed at, and you believe market value of that, it's not the perceived value of the buyer. So if everybody, for example, they're all priced at, let's just say 250. Everybody's at 250. And you're getting showings, but they're not making offers. They're not making offers because everybody's at the same price, and it's a price war and a beauty contest. So people want absolutely 100% turnkey. They want to see the value up front to know that this is a good property for them to purchase at the price that they're at, because it's so much more money. If that makes any sense, what I just said. It's
Yeah.
very it's a bit complicated. It really is. And the market determines the price at the end of the day. Even if an agent thinks it's this, and it sounds like it is because the comp suggests it, it doesn't mean that it's going to sell at that number.
Well, and I think you mentioned a really great word, and that was perceived value. And what I find interesting is that I think most realtors and clients, when they hear perceived value, they only think of the sales price. But when you're the listing agent or the listing going after an expired listing or a canceled listing, you have to consider the entire package of perceived value. It's not just the number the home's going to sell for. It's what is the value to the seller in getting rid of this home? Is it that they need to do it because they want one less thing to deal with? Is it that they're already moving? They already have another house. They don't want to take care of this one. Are they motivated to move because it's too much house to take care of? You have to think of like all the many reasons that moving might make sense for them or selling the house might make sense, and then pitch how your service is going to answer all of those value needs for them. And if you can find the other additional reasons other than just the value number, the dollar sign, I think it's a lot easier to convert those people and get them back in the game.
And I think something else is really important to consider that is not on paper. What's the neighbor's house look like? What does the block look like? Is there, we live in Philadelphia, so is there a bodega in the corner where people are hanging out? Is the house next door, people coming in and out of it all day long, doing whatever, not good stuff? That affects the value of that property, even if it should be priced X. It can't be. It can't be. It's not going to sell at that, and it's going to. There are factors outside of just the house.
But Maria, Zillow didn't factor into my Zestimate that there were people loitering around the bodega near my house, but I'm the seller and I want full price. Like, that's such an interesting point because, we talk all the time about why you can't just, trust the Zestimate as like gospel. And it's all of those things that the sellers just don't take into account. So kind of like using your local knowledge, educating them, walking them through like what that does to the price and what you might need to do to get that sold, I think is that invaluable human service that a realtor can offer, especially if you have that market experience.
And some of those things, quite frankly, they're not in the seller's control. And the only thing that the seller can do is adjust the price.
Yeah.
The only control they have at that point is the price, because let's say that price is 250 and people will say, well, we can't just do the price. Of course it can. If it was 200, would it be sold?
Yeah.
Of course it would. So it's the price. It comes down to the price. You can't tell the neighbor that they can't have their dogs in the backyard, their pit bulls, 3 of them behind the house.
So
That's
what are
value.
you? So when you use the realtor, you're making these calls to these expireds. You're sending them the letters. Other than the price, like what type of things are you communicating to try to get them over the fence and back to you?
Oh, there's so many things. I look at, you know, there's so many. One example: does the house qualify for special financing? Was that marketed for CRA financing? This property is multifamily. It was trying to be sold as multifamily. Could that be for a buyer who's going to live in one unit and rent the other units out? Because that probably is a better solution at this number. It's not going to be an investor. There's no way an investor is going to buy it. The only person that can buy that duplex or that triplex anywhere near this number is a user. Does it make sense for a user? What's the payments? You know, also, there's other things like, was there a warranty included? Was it virtually staged? Was it staged if the house is vacant? All these little details of like, was there an inspection done? Could there have been an inspection done? Do you think if you had an inspection ahead of time, there would have been a better outcome?
It's almost
Was
like figuring out all of the barriers that are going to be in a buyer's and a buyer's agent's mind when they see that initial listing pop up for a price that's, let's say, not low, it's there or high. and then thinking, okay, what if we could just make it an easier process to get showings on this house by offering that pre-inspection report, by offering all these many things, just so that there's no fear and you can get people in the door. And then you can go into the financing options and all the special financing options that you just mentioned. And then all of a sudden you've just made it a lot more palatable of a house to any prospective buyer that sees it online.
We're going to as far as uploading comps to the system. And here's how we came up with the number.
Well, and
So
that's kind of what you get when you work with a full-time realtor who has full-time experience in that area. Because, when we look at the national numbers, like, half of our realtors are doing one sale a year. When you work with that person, they just don't know all of these things because they're not in practice.
well,
And I
we're
think,
even doing this for the buyer's agent. Like, here's the comps. This is why the price should be this. So it's validation, and they can easily share it with their client. So
you're giving them the information so that you guys can all play on the same team. Like, you guys have the same goal. You want to get more people into nice homes and revitalize communities and make sure people have a house to live in and that sellers can get out of houses they don't want anymore. But when we're setting this up as like an opposing viewpoint, it makes it hard to get deals done in our industry.
well, I think after this year, in looking at all of the challenges that, I sat there and thought about all of them, wrote them down, and then I came up with the solution. So now we're executing on the new plan. And that's my mantra: be the solution, figure the shit out, right? And that's what people pay me for.
That's
And
huge. What so I know, in addition to expired listings, I mean, to pull in 80 closed listings a year, I know you need to get a whole lot more leads than that. And I know you have a big program coming up where you're going to teach everyone the full 12-week system. But why don't you walk us through a couple of the other unique ways that you're getting so many listing appointments and so many at bats, and anything else you do that might whet people's appetites for what you have coming up that we'll talk about at the end.
a lot of it comes down to the things that you do each and every day. So we get business from organically from Google. How do you do that? Well, you have presence. How do you have presence? You have video. You can Google somebody, and if you see thousands of videos that come up, it's all intertwined. Everything is intertwined. It's all part of the process. It's all part of the program. It's like, where are you as an agent? Are you leading? Are you putting yourself out there in the community? Are you involved? Do you go to events? Do you network? It's not like a one thing.
Right.
You have to do everything. You have to pick. You have to pick the things that you want to do. Expired listings is not only our business. We do a lot of investors. We work with, people that own, I have clients that own 500 properties, that are thinking about selling in their portfolio. I also do commercial real estate. So it's a combination of all of these different things and how you converse and have conversations with people and not sound like you're a script. And that is being human. But in order to lead the sellers, you really need to know your stuff. You need to know what you're talking about. You need to price right. Are you pricing on the zeros or the fives? Are you still pricing as, 309999? That's horrible. Understand how the algorithm works. You know, understand the way you write a listing is critical.
So let's talk about that pricing one. Like, why is it better to price it in the fives versus the nine nines?
Well, one, we're not Walmart. We ain't
That's a good
Walmart.
reason.
So when you're searching, let's just say the house is, you want to price at 330. I would suggest pricing at 3.25. Usually people have a price break. People search on price breaks. Nobody puts into the system, whether it's Z or Realtor or any of these places. Nobody says I'm going to buy a house up to $309,000. They're usually searching like 325, 350. So if you're pricing on the price break points, you're going to reach more people organically.
Mm.
And that's something that I still don't. I've been doing that for 20 years, close to probably 18, 19 years. Pricing on the zeros and the fives. When you make a price adjustment, People, I'll see price adjustments that are, listing as 545, 550, and they'll adjust to 545. That's like a complete waste of time. You're not
Yeah,
going to reach
you're
the
not reaching
people.
any other buyers by pricing it 5 grand lower.
No, we expect this 12 showings. I expect activity. I expect activity, meaning people reaching out and saying they're interested in putting an offer in. If not, why? What is the reasoning behind that? Okay, can we fix it? Nope, we can't fix it. The house is already fixed as it is. Great. So now we have all 12 people all have declined the house. They said no. And this is over 3 full weeks. What do we do? Well, I would suggest a 5% adjustment. That house is, 595. It's coming down 600, 600. It's coming down to 575. Otherwise, you're not reaching a new group of people, right? Some of the things like, when we have a whole new cadence when we even list properties. Monday's coming soon. Thursday or Friday is active. You need to get the time. Open house. Launch a listing with an open house. There's so many. We do a lot of stuff here. So
That's actually a really good point. And I think a lot of agents listening don't have a dialed in plan for every listing they get because they're not getting enough to do so. But I think when you think about it, you need to write down what are all of the many tools that you could have for launching a listing and which ones are you going to do every single time that you're going to become known for and that you can see that you can add new things to as you see that they're working. If you're listening, you don't have a plan, that's kind of your first step. And then your second step is to listen to Maria and add in some of her steps into your process.
absolutely, the way that you do one thing is how you do everything.
I love that.
So
My
you
favorite
have
quote.
to be detail oriented. You have to be on it. And this is a time sensitive business. So you have to have everything ready. We have our listing paperwork is already set up. All we're doing is filling in things, right? We have a whole system of how it goes out, how it gets DocuSign. After that DocuSign comes back and they're a client, a letter goes out from me saying how we work, who's responsible for what in our company, who you call if you need anything. We have seller calls every Wednesday between 1 and 4 p.m. that we set up with the seller in advance till going live. You don't hear from me. You're going to hear from me Wednesday at 1. Does that work for you? Whatever time it is for the people. This way they know that we're going to have a call every week. If they're getting the feedback every day, we call every showing from the day before. Every single day. What you showed the property? Could you tell me, we asked them, what will it take to do a deal? Point blank. What will it take to do a deal? Now
That's
they're
I
like,
think
they're
that's like I
quiet.
think we almost need to pause there. And every realtor listening, this is one of the best things I've heard this year. Every single showing, you're calling the buyer's agent who did the showing, and you're simply stating, "How is the showing? What's it going to take to get this done?" I love that. Like
Exactly.
that is sales. That is going above and beyond. And in addition to that, all of those agents that you're calling now know that your communication is amazing. And now all of a sudden, they're going to be more likely, even if this deal doesn't work out, they're going to be more likely to want to work with you in the future because they know they can get a hold of you because you're going to be calling them after every showing and every Wednesday for the listing calls. I mean, like you mentioned, it's all these little pieces that tie together, but that was a gold nugget that I think everyone out there needs to do because I get frustrated when I'm listing my properties for sale and I don't hear back for days or weeks on showings and I'm like, what? This is unacceptable. So I just switched to an agent that gave me feedback so that I could make decisions and I could kind of mentally prepare myself for that price drop if we needed to do it or for any other work that I needed to do. Maria, I feel like everyone listening who just absorbed that nugget will make money off of it and they will make even more money if they check out your new 12-week class that isn't out yet. So we're jumping the gun a little bit, but will be out soon. So why don't you give everyone a little bit more information on what you have coming up?
Okay, so I've been specializing in listings for 20 years, and I created a 90-day listing accelerator. So this is not for brand new people. These are for people that are already doing some listings. I don't care how many listings you're doing. It could be 1 a month, 2 a month, 3 a month. I on average do 40 5 listing appointments a month. Actually, that was last year. This year is probably much more. Fun little fact, Matt. Fellow does a contest every year. They get people involved to set appointments. In the month of March this year, I set 132 listing appointments
That's unbelievable.
and
When
did
did you
them.
did you sleep, Maria?
I did a lot of work. And that basically is Monday to Friday. I did some Saturday mornings as well. 132 appointments. So I can show people in this class, I'm going to be showing them how you can get the appointment, how you can set the appointment. But the sticky part is all the other stuff that you need to do. All the other stuff that needs to happen. It first starts with your mindset and what is your intention and what is your goal. And I say the goal is the one thing, but what is your commitment to that goal? Not about the goal, it's about your commitment to the goal. Because a goal is a dream, even
Mhm.
written down. Without the commitment to it, it doesn't mean anything. I was committed to set 100 appointments and I made a plan to do it. And I was able to generate 132 in 4 weeks, 20 work days. You can do the math on what that is. It's 6.5 or so appointments a day. It's crazy, but I wanted to see really what's possible. And I think, Matt, we sell ourselves short for what we can do.
Well, most of us make excuses for why the number's too big, why we need to bring it down and set a attainable goal. But it doesn't hurt to set a crazy goal at the beginning of the year. If you can, especially in real estate, where you can back out the numbers to say, I only need to make 20 calls a day to get 100 appointments a month, right? 20. Like, there's a number. It's just math, and I think people get away from that sometimes.
Oh, math is the path, Matt. Math is the path, and work works. And I take progress over perfection every single day. Any single day, progress over perfection.
It's
And
funny
these are things
because like
I walk around my office all day. Math is the path. Work works. Progress over perfection.
That's funny because, like, in our office, our mantra, my mentor gave this to me 15 years ago, was any plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. Like, stop waiting for perfection and just do something right now. So we track the number of calls. We're huge into like tracking every single outbound activity we do so that we can see when we had a good month, it's because of the extra calls we made the month before, 2 months before, whatever that market cycle is. And I think that's huge. So, Maria, if someone wanted to get more information or sign up for your course, how would they do so?
All they have to do is email me at Maria, Maria, at callmq. So
Maria
MQ.
at callmq.com.
That's it. They can
Okay.
email me and I'll send you over the information. I'll
And this
email
is
to
a
you.
this is
I'll
a
send you the
12
link.
week kind of like a 12-week group class. Why don't you walk
It's
us
a
through what the course
12-week
looks like?
12-week listing accelerator. January it is starting. I can give you the exact date that it's going to start. It is January January the 14th is when it's starting. It will go for 12 weeks. It is all recorded sessions will be sent to you. Everything will be recorded. It's for 1 hour every single week. And then we're going to do a quick 20-minute touchdown for any questions, 20 to 30 minutes, whatever is needed in between to see, because there's actually like work that has to be done. I'm going to go through the whole process, like how we actually do it from the start to the finish. We're going to take, it's basically like taking like how to take the listing from before they call you to the closing
I
and
love that.
every single thing in between in order, because the every listing that you get and every listing that you sell and every listing that you promote gets you another listing.
It's a snowball effect. Like, there is no industry on earth, in my opinion, that has a more powerful snowball effect than real estate. And it's like so hard to get the ball rolling initially sometimes, but once it's going, I mean, strap in because you have so much opportunity. It's not even funny.
Matt, from Friday until yesterday, I used a big, huge whiteboard because I'm a visual person, even though I have File Boss and all these other tools. I write my appointments down. I have 14 appointments that I touched between Friday and the end of the day yesterday on my board that came in either from me calling or from people calling into my office. The business is out there for the people that want it. It's the day before the day before Thanksgiving right now. How is that possible? People say there's no business. 100% there is. Open the MLS, see what penned it yesterday.
Well, and it's funny because people are going to be listening to this after Thanksgiving, but like, this is the best day. Today and tomorrow are the two best days all year to make calls. Why? Because everyone's going to be with their freaking family for the next 3 days and they need things to talk about. So when you're giving them intelligent real estate information on their local market, they're going to pass that information on. The second piece is that all those people that are going home to see their mom, their pa, literally, they're finding out that their sister, their cousin, someone's moving back to town. And if you can touch them the day before Thanksgiving, the day before Christmas, all of a sudden you're top of mind for that referral. And the other reason is that no other realtors are doing any work. I mean, Maria, I think you and I are probably the only people in our entire industry nationwide working today. That's how it feels, at least when I look around the hallways. But it's funny because when there's no one else calling, everything you do is amplified. It has a much, much higher effect. So I know we could probably talk for hours on why everyone out there should just work harder and take advantage of these kind of like micro opportunities that compound over time. But Maria, if someone has a client moving to the Philly area, how would they get a hold of you and your team?
They can email me, Maria Q. They can call us 215-607-3535 and just ask for me. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Maria Quattrone. You can DM me there. I answer all calls and I respond to all inquiries.
I cannot wait. Well, everyone listening, please do us a quick favor. If you got value out of this episode and you learned one thing, please DM us. Please send us a message, send me an email, matt@treadstonemortgage.com, and let me know what you took out of it that you're going to commit to doing today. Listening to this podcast is and always will be a complete waste of your time unless you do one thing. So everyone, thanks for joining today.